All right, let's pick the fake playoffs as they stand right now. Will Brinson is going to pick every matchup until we get a Super Bowl champion here. And Will, let's start in the AFC with a super wild card matchup that we would get right now. It would be Dolphins at the Chiefs. I know all the Tua stuff is up in the air. We're hoping to have him back by the postseason if the Dolphins make it there, but this would be the Tyreek Hill Bowl.
Are we definitely hoping to have him back, Chris? Because I mean, like I think we want him to be back. We want him to be healthy. But man, when you hear that Mike McDaniel tells reporters that Tua needs to just live in the day, like just deal with each day as he is, and not try to worry about the long-term future, that's like really scary stuff. So, I mean, I think like that aside. I don't know that I trust the Dolphins to deal with the Chiefs. Yes, this is the primetime Tyreek Hill revenge game. But let's not sleep on the fact that the Chiefs, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, very clearly had revenge on their mind much of the season when Tyreek Hill's blowing up down the South Beach. They were like, hey, look, we can score too. And I think they would be very interested in showing everyone exactly why they're not worried about Tyreek Hill being gone, because they can win without him. I think the Chiefs would be heavily favored in this game and would probably roll the Dolphins pretty good here.
Yeah, you would think they'd be a double-digit favorite in that game if we get it. The Chiefs, of course, hoping to get the 1 seed and home field advantage. I buried the lead here. It's a question more than a statement. What is in the vault behind you, and are you in the basement of a bank?
I am. I have absconded to a bank. I've robbed a bank. I'm in a safe. No. It's my dad. It's my dad's safe. He's got a big safe. I guess you could guess what is the size of that safe that would go in there. That you would want to keep protected if you wanted to, like a copy of the Mona Lisa,
like human bodies, perhaps. I mean, clearly you're following your dad's. William, don't you dare break into that vault. Never. All right, we'll move on because clearly you're uncomfortable talking about it.
Maybe it's a really nice. Maybe it's like a really nice shotgun. Who knows? I mean, who's to say? I don't know. Maybe it's a copy of the Mona Lisa.
It's a big vault.
It's a big vault. Yeah,
you could stuff a few bodies in there. Let's move on to the Chargers and the Bengals. No team hotter right now than Cincinnati.
You really lost a chance to say, speaking of people who keep bodies in their basement, let's talk about the Bengals, John Breach's team. Yeah, there's nobody hotter than the Cincinnati Bengals. Justin Herbert has looked very good, although I think the coaching there in Los Angeles is sort of limiting him to a degree. I think the Bengals are going to take the Chargers in this spot. In Cincinnati, nobody's been better than Joe Burrow in these closeout, just like super, everything on the line, like win or go home games. You look at these numbers and what he's done really since week 2, since coming through that the appendix surgery, the ruptured appendix that he had to deal with. He got back quickly and has been a dominant MVP level performer. I got the Bengals beating the Chargers here. I don't want to say handily. I think it'd be a close game but it'd be a fun matchup between two quarterbacks from that same draft class.
We're picking the playoffs as it stands right now. In the AFC, the Ravens would go to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars, who have the tiebreaker over the Titans as of right now in that division. These two teams played earlier in the season, and the Jags beat Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they did. And the Jaguars are just sort of streaking right now. I'd be curious to see what they do in week 17 with their starters, because there's really nothing at stake for Doug Peterson's crew. However, you don't really want to kill the momentum there. I think Jacksonville is going to beat Tennessee in week 18. I think they're going to win the division, regardless of what it is in terms of the actual, I think they're going to win the division, and I think they're going to take down the Ravens in the postseason as well.
Okay, so that takes care of the super wildcard games in the AFC. Let's move over to the NFC, and a game that we would get right now, Commanders at Vikings. They played earlier on this season in November. The Commanders blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead to the Vikes.
Yeah, the Vikings are big fans of close-scoring games. They are 11-0 in one-score games. They literally not impossible because it's actually happening. Highly improbable, I would say. Washington, man, I think with the way that this Washington defense is playing, and God help me for making this pick, but I think I'm going to take Carson Wentz in an upset special. You got to have some upset super wild card weekend. I'm going to take Ron Rivera and the Commanders to shock the Vikings, knock off the number 2 seed there in what obviously will be a one-score game that with finally regression catching up to Minnesota.
A believer in Carson Wentz, who is returning as the starter.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
Believe in him more than you believe in the Minnesota Vikings, who are 11-0 in one-score games this season, and that includes a victory in D.C. against the Commanders. Let's move on to the 49ers, who would host the Giants right now. Who do you like in that matchup?
Well, I mean, look, all due respect to the Giants, I think whether the Giants make the playoffs or not, whether they win, whether they get blasted in the first round or not, whether they win their last two games, whatever, however the season happens, I think that the Giants should look at this season like the 2017 Bills eventually looked at their season. Surprising playoff caliber team. Maybe you get smoked in the first round of the playoffs. It shouldn't matter because what you've got is a great building block for the future with Brian Dable, Joe Shane there. Who knows what's going to happen at quarterback, but I trust those guys to figure it out. I don't trust them to beat the 49ers, though. Brock Purdy and co. And Christian McCaffrey, mainly in that defense, roll through the Giants in this one.
Sportsline loves the 49ers. They like the 49ers 3 to 5 more times than they like the Vikings and the Cowboys in their simulations to win the NFC. 49ers winning 16% of the time, behind only the Eagles, who would get the bye right now. Cowboys and Bucks would be the last super wild card matchup. They started the season, and it was probably the best game of the season for Tom Brady and the Bucks, who won 19-3.
Yeah, the season did not go very well for them after that. However, I've been touting it all for like weeks on the Pick Six podcast. Ryan Wilson yells at me every time. I'm going to suggest that Tom Brady, AKA the GOAT, the greatest football player, the greatest athlete in the history of sports, really, certainly the greatest NFL player of all time, and obviously the greatest quarterback of all time, can beat Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott in a one-game playoff matchup, and then where they're at home. I know it's crazy to suggest the Buccaneers can make any sort of run because they've been so bad the last few months. I mean, yeah, I guess weeks, months, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to have the Bucks in a quote-unquote upset special here at home as the 4 seed going in over the 5 seed Cowboys, who will clinch up like Mike McCarthy often does in the playoffs.
Okay, let's look at the bracket then, as Will Brinson has picked every super wild card matchup as it stands right now, and we're going to go all the way through to get Will's Super Bowl matchup and Super Bowl champion. And let's start upper left, AFC divisional, the Bills hosting the Jags.
I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy, big Doug Peterson guy. I think the Jaguars are a team that's on the rise in the future. I actually have a insane, I think it's 3,500 to 1 ticket on the Jaguars and the Packers meeting in the Super Bowl. So if that happens, don't look for me in Arizona. I will take the Bills to knock off the Jaguars here, and then what it was a pretty fantastic dream run, and frankly should result in Doug Peterson getting some serious looks for Coach of the Year.
No question. If that happened, and if they win a playoff game on top of it, my goodness, what a turnaround that would be for Jacksonville. Then we have a rematch of the AFC Championship game a season ago in the same place, Bengals at Chiefs.
So here's what's going to happen after the Bengals knock off the Chiefs in Arrowhead. There's going to be chatter. Can Patrick Mahomes, can he get past Joe Burrow? It's not even can somebody get past Mahomes? It's like, can Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid deal with Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow? I just think Joe Cool is that cold, ice cold. He's going to knock off the Chiefs for sixth straight or fourth or fifth or sixth straight time. Just a remarkable run for the Bengals here against the Chiefs in my hypothetical.
All right, that's your AFC divisional hypothetical. Over in the NFC, Eagles would be likely a double-digit favorite against the Commanders.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to advance Carson Wentz even any further than this. Although, what a revenge game that would be, right? If he took them out in that divisional round in Philadelphia, there would be batteries strewn across the entire city in angst and anger over Carson Wentz. But yeah, the Eagles. I think at this point we got to hope Jalen Hurts is back. And even if not, I think Gardner Minshew could potentially push them past the Commanders. Got the Eagles advancing.
And we saw Bucks 49ers earlier this month, and Brock Purdy and the Niners blew out the Bucks 35-7. Does it happen again?
Yeah, same circumstances, right? And the Buccaneers, a magical run as well, beating the Cowboys. Ends here. The 49ers are one of the best teams in football, even with Brock Purdy, even with their third-string quarterback. Niners handle the Buccaneers pretty easily. Okay,
so interesting conference championship games. The Bills, the 1 seed against the team that won it last season, won the AFC last season, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Do the Bills at home now finally get over the hump and get back to the Super Bowl?
I believe that the Bills do not get over the hump and get back to the Super Bowl. I'm being held hostage by John Breach, and I have the Bengals beating the Bills in the AFC Championship game and going to their second consecutive Super Bowl matchup, this time against, well, I don't know, you got to ask me the next question, I guess.
Yes. You've got, the 49ers beating the Eagles.
That's right. Brock Purdy wins his third straight playoff game to push the 49ers into the Super Bowl against the Bengals. And Bengals fans shouldn't have any angst going up against the 49ers. Nothing bad has ever happened to them in the Super Bowl against San Francisco.
And I see the Bengals are highlighted. So tell us why the Bengals will win it all.
That's right. The Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow are my Super Bowl champion over the 49ers. Again, mostly it's because I'm being held hostage by John Breach, but also because I think that you just look at what Joe Burrow does for this team, man. I mean, he changes everything about them. They have like this belief, this swagger, like they think they can win any game. And for years and years and years, it's been the Bengals can lose any game, especially in the playoffs, especially with Andy Dalton. And now you have Joe Burrow, who I just think when the stage is biggest, he elevates his game the most out of anybody, out of like almost anybody we've seen, maybe aside from Mahomes. Josh Allen certainly put up there. And then we've never seen a rookie quarterback win the Super Bowl. So that's a bit of a stretch for me with the 49ers. I got to tell you, I got tickets on both from several weeks ago. So I'd be thrilled with this matchup. This is actually the matchup I predicted before the playoffs last year. So I'm running it back. Think it hits this time. Won't find 85-1 odds around it this time this year as it was last year. But I think Joe Burrow, man, he's going to make Pete Prisco become accurate in 2023 for the first time in his life.
You're right. He said 2 Super Bowls in his first 10 years. He would make 2 Super Bowls in his first 10 years if this goes according to your plan here and you have Joe Burrow and the Bengals beating Brock Purdy and the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Will, thank you so much for taking us through how you see the postseason going as it stands right now. You can hear Will on the very latest Pick Six podcast with Tyler Sullivan discussing Week 17 betting trends. 2 games to go in the regular season.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.